This week, we're looking at the market shock from Trump's proposed 50% copper tariff and Canada's $32 billion LNG project that just sent its first shipment to Asia. I'm Ryan Iverson, and this is the Investor Breakout Weekly Insight. Copper just spiked, and here's why markets are reacting. U.S. copper futures jumped more than 12% to a record high after President Trump announced plans for a 50% tariff on copper imports, a steeper and earlier move than markets expected. The tariff aims to boost domestic production of a metal critical to EVs, defense, infrastructure, and consumer tech. The U.S. imports roughly half of its copper needs annually. While the intent is to bring copper home, major U.S. mining projects have faced opposition and delays for years. Freeport-McMoRan, the largest U.S. copper producer, saw shares climb nearly 5% on the news. Countries most affected? Chile, Canada, Mexico, top copper suppliers to the U.S. But analysts warn the U.S. is still years away from meeting its own demand. Tariffs could raise input costs for manufacturers in the short term. The question now? Will this move strengthen U.S. copper or disrupt global markets further? The world's moving fast. Tariffs, supply chains, energy shifts. Keep clarity by subscribing to the Investor Breakout newsletter. Canada is stepping into the LNG spotlight, and the timing couldn't be better. Last week, LNG Canada, a $32 billion joint venture led by Shell and Petronas, launched its first shipment of liquefied natural gas. With additional projects underway, Canada is on track to represent nearly 20% of all LNG production capacity currently under construction worldwide. And Alberta believes it could become a top 5 global LNG exporter within the next decade. Why Canada? Well, lower cooling costs, shorter routes to Asia, and fewer checkpoints, like the Panama Canal or the Strait of Hormuz. Give it a logistical and cost advantage. Shipping Canadian LNG to Asia can cost 10 to 15% less than US Gulf Coast exports, according to Rystad Energy. As global demand rises, particularly from India and China, Canada is well positioned to capitalize. LNG is becoming more strategic than ever, powering everything from AI infrastructure to energy transition. And as global supply chains shift, Canada's LNG future looks increasingly secure and lucrative. If you want more, head to investorbreakout.com to subscribe to the newsletter, follow us on our socials, and make sure you're tuned in next week. I'm Ryan Iverson. See you next time.